you're going to have to be able to use these terms. Now, on your next exam, I'll be asking you questions using correct terms, okay? I will not have you define what the terms are, but to answer a question, you have to understand what the terms mean. So, paresis, as in hemiparesis, a weakness. Plesia, as a suffix. Hemiplegia, no movement. Paralysis, no movement. Limb paralysis. Palsy, weakness or lack of movement, aphakial palsy. Nowadays, what we would see is possibly replacing palsy with paresis a lot of times. However, palsy is so well ingrained in our literature and in our nomenclature of problems that it would be impossible to eliminate it. So hemi, one side of the body, hemiplegia, hemiparesis, hemiplegia. All right, so those means it only occurs on one side. Para, both legs, paraplegia. Paraplegia can happen involving the legs. You can have loss of function in both legs. It's very, very difficult to get a loss of both arms without also having a loss of both legs, which would take you to quadriplegia. That's not al, that's all. Okay? Mono, one limb, monoparesis. So we have a paresis, weakness in one limb. Di, both sides of the body. Facial diplegia. So both sides of the body have a lack of movement. Okay? So you should work on these, make sure you know and understand how those are used, and I don't know what else to tell you about that one. Now, there are a whole bunch of terms that we are going to be running across in this chapter and the chapter on somatosensation. And I'm probably going to make a few slides like this as we go along, just to keep you on track. All right? You should know Bell's palsy. One of the reasons you should know it is you're going to run into it. Okay? So learn it now. Inflammation of the facial nerve, unknown etiology, and palsy. What's a palsy? A weakness? Is that what you said? Okay, cool. So we have a weakness. Weakness with the facial nerve results in a droop, typically. So, and the facial nerve is a complex nerve, so it could be droopiness in several parts. Or you could get to a point where you can't smile, you can't move, whatever. The three-chord syndrome, well, actually there are 4 syndromes here, that I would like you to take the time to read about. Now, I'm trying to think of, these might actually be discussed in the somatosensory chapter, I'm not sure. Since I referenced this one, that's in the next chapter, which is somatosensation. I don't know where my references went up there. I think I wrote them down and forgot to type them in. Anterior cord syndrome typically is due to some lack of oxygenation to the anterior portion of the cord, and you're going to have a whole series of losses. We'll look at all of these. Central cord syndrome is actually the most common of the cervical neck trauma, cervical trauma. People who break their neck technically will have a central cord syndrome. So I would like you to just take the time to read those. Like I said, I think all of those are in chapter 7, but make use of the index. Yeah?
So I'm just curious with the central cord syndrome.
Mhm.
My sister broke her neck.
Mhm.
Is that something she can't turn her head one way? She can turn it, I think, to the right, but not to the left.
What about arms and legs and things?
Yeah, she can. Arms and legs are fine. She just
That's
can't
not
turn her
central
head.
cord then.
It's not.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Central cord involves fairly global issues.
Okay.
So yes, she broke her neck, dodged the bullet, so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah. Syringomyelia, you end up getting a fluid-filled cavity in the spinal cord that affects, it can affect a wide variety of things. We're going to be looking at a whole series of problems, and with each motor pathway problem, we're going to discuss a lot of options. Myelitis is due to infection or inflammation. A myelitis, what do you think is being infected or inflamed? What's that? Myelin. You know, a lot of times you are affecting the myelin around the nerves, and you're affecting how the signals are moving. Viral infection in the gray matter, weakness and paralysis, poliomyelitis. Something you guys are not that familiar with. Do you know anybody with polio, other than maybe in a professional setting? Yeah? Okay. You know, one person in 20 of us. You know, it's hard to believe. When I was a little kid, okay, you all remember Saturday morning cartoons? Okay, you get up, watch cartoons, everything. In between cartoons, they would show us, you know, kids in iron lungs with polio. You know, get vaccinated was the message. And polio vaccinations have been fairly effective. You don't know many people. Transverse myelitis, bilateral demyelination in the cord. This becomes a big problem. Anytime you see demyelination for anything or hear it, the outcome is going to be pretty severe, pretty sustained, many times not recoverable. Infarctions due to, you know, loss of oxygenation leading to nerve death. Typically with an infarction, we have an event that results in the death of tissue. So you have a cardiac infarction, there's dead myocardium. With a spinal infarction, you'll have dead tissue in spine, brain infarction, dead tissue in brain. So, cerebral palsy. You know, it's really, I'm quite pleased. Usually when I teach neuro, I will have a student in class that has cerebral palsy. This is for no, oh, you didn't just raise your hand. Oh, no, good. As I said, whoa, you are really you're doing well. But it's surprising how many students over the years I've had in neuro that have had cerebral palsy. Some more severe than others, almost all with gait-related issues. Infections overwhelmingly contributes to cerebral palsy. The vast majority of these muscle weaknesses are due to infections: encephalitis, meningitis, herpes, and rubella. Rubella is the contributor to the majority of cerebral palsy cases in utero. You know, which is why, once again, we want you to be vaccinated for these things. Cerebral hemorrhage can lead to cerebral palsy as well by disrupting motor pathways in the brain. Trauma, it can be trauma that is pre-birth trauma, trauma that is birth trauma and trauma that is postpartum trauma, where you're doing some damage to the motor cortex. So we'll occasionally touch on cerebral palsy. I just would like you to start familiarizing yourself with it. All right, let's get going. This is now the good stuff. We are now walking into the world of the rehab person, whether you're an OT, a PT, a physician, or a nurse. I think I got you all. Maybe not. Hemiparesis. Hemi? Half, one side. Paresis. Weakness. Cool. Hemiparesis with additional defects. Let's try to break this down. Now, this is showing you where the problem can be. This is showing you where the problem occurs. Okay? So the muscle weakness is from the middle of the face down on that side. It will include all of that. So the question is, how do we have a problem up here that does that? Now, what you have to do is start to be able to visualize these tracks. You should work at drawing out the cord getting up to the brain, right? So this kind of looks like, I don't know, maybe a head of cauliflower on a long stalk. It does, doesn't it? Yeah, kind of, right? Because it's gray, and if it had been green, it would be broccoli, but it's not. Okay. You have a lot of critical landmarks. You know this. Oh, that's the motor homunculus. That's it. Here's the leg, here's an arm, here's the face. See the internal capsule right here? Okay? That actually extends like this right there, but that's it. Oh, this, I know what that is. That's pons. This is the medulla. Cervical enlargement. Oh, look, we have synapses in the cervical enlargement. Yes, you have lots of synapses. We narrow down, come down, lumbar enlargement. More synapses. So we see the signals coming from the cortex, getting through the capsule, coming down, okay? Now, please note a couple of things. I wish I had a blow-up of this. Right here, the signals that are going to the face. You have a signal that's coming to the lower part of the face, a signal going to the upper part of the face, and a signal that goes to the opposite side. That's critical. The signal that goes to the opposite side goes to the upper part of the face. The signals now come down. Oh, what is this? The pyramids of decussation. Both signals to the arms, the torso, the legs cross. Signals to the arm, upper body leave at the cervical enlargement. We come on down, lumbar enlargement, signal to the legs. So, you must understand that. Sit down, draw it out over and over again if you have to. It doesn't have to be a beautiful drawing. Okay? You can sit down and go, oh, okay. How do I do this?